All right, welcome back. Grant Morgan again, Wilcox Bodies. Just doing a walk around, a short video on the hydraulic functions inside of the driver's side cabinet number 4, or driver's side rear cabinet on this track maintainer body we built for CPKC. So I've left the truck off because it's a little bit loud. But basically, once you have the PTO engaged, as per the previous video, you can come back to this rear cabinet driver's side, and you have various selector / control valves. So with this particular selector valve in the center position, if you were to pull it towards you, that would put it into the tool circuit position, and then again you have another selector valve that can either give you 5 gallons per minute to your tools or 10 gallons per minute to your tools. The hose reel has 50 feet of twin line 1/2 inch hydraulic hose. We've also installed a warm-up loop as well as essentially a storage location for the pressure and return lines at the end of the hose reel. So if you couple these hoses here on a regular basis, then it helps to prevent you from deadheading the tools accidentally, but also acts as a storage space so it's not banging around on the body, and keeps the end of the hoses dry and clean, free of dirt and debris. But once the PTO and pump is engaged, and typically this control valve is left in the crane or high rail position, but it could be left in the tool circuit position. You can disconnect these hoses, which you can only do once it's in the high rail and the crane position, because right now the hoses would be under pressure. So putting it into that position there, you can then uncouple the hydraulic hoses, couple them to your tool. Once they've coupled them to your tool, you can come back, select your tool circuit, and then you can select 5 or 10 gallons per minute on this particular valve here. You can then operate your hydraulic tool, and when you're finished, you can essentially turn off, if you will, the tool circuit, uncouple your hoses, rewind the hose back into the hose reel, which is a spring rewind hose reel, couple the hoses to the warm-up loop / storage loop, and then you're good to go at that point. If you wanted to operate the crane or the high rail, same sort of similar process. PTO and pump must be engaged. Truck must be running. PTO and pump must be engaged. The parking brake has to be on. And then with the selector valve in the crane or high rail position, you can immediately function your high rail and operate the high rail. Both the front and the rear high rails have mechanical locks. So the mechanical lock must be disengaged. Then you can lower the high rail to the ground. Upon completion, same sort of thing. You're going to have to disengage the mechanical lock again, and then you can raise the high rail up into its road position. At the front of the truck, it's a typical Rafnar 450 high rail. I'm sure you have many of them in your fleet. But at the front of the truck on this high rail, we have a mechanical lock here, which then you can unlock the high rail, and then you can pull to lower the high rail to the ground or push to raise it up into the air. If for some reason PTO and pump should fail on this truck, there are other procedures for raising and lowering the high rail at the front end. Obviously you want to lock up the front axle. So before you lower the high rail to the ground or raise the truck off the ground, you're going to want to lock up the front axle. Hold the pin, slide the bar forward, reinstall the pin into the lock position, and then you can raise and lower the high rail. Once it's up in the air, there's mechanical pins as well in case there's a hydraulic failure. Mechanical pins that you see here with the blue handle. You engage the pins and then secure them in place with the clip there. Pin slides into this side, and there's 2 of them, one for each them down. That is the front high rail. Not a whole lot to it, to be honest. Crane. If you want to utilize the crane, again, truck must be running, parking brake must be engaged. Then you turn on the PTO. Engine will ramp up to roughly 1300 RPM. You come back here to this cabinet, make sure that the selector valve for the crane high rail is in the crane high rail position, and you then need to lower or extend and lower your jack legs, both on the driver's side and the curb side. The curbside jack leg has a magnetic proximity switch. It will not allow you to utilize the crane, or it will not provide power to the crane until this particular jack leg has been, extended roughly, 3, 4, 5 inches, which then hopefully that forces you to lower the jack leg to the ground. You can then flip on the switch for the crane. That'll then allow, through that proximity switch circuit, allows power and ground, so then you can operate the crane. You can then turn on the remote control. I'll do a quick short video on engaging the remote control. If for some reason the proximity switch on this jack leg should fail and you cannot get power to the crane, this is an override switch. So essentially this override switch is just basically grounding that particular circuit. The jack leg proximity switch is a ground circuit, so it's interrupting ground. So you can override it by by pushing down on it to momentarily override the ground. That will allow power to your crane, and then you can function the crane temporarily. This is a momentary switch, so it's basically forcing you to have two operators, one to hold the switch down and one to operate the crane, get it back into its storage position in the boom rest, and get it fixed. It's not meant to be bypassed, and therefore you're using a crane without using jack legs. Thank you very much. There'll be another video shortly.